How are you today, underachievers? Brazil right now is in, I love this term, it is in dire straits. Yeah. Inflation, I mean, if you guys in Europe are complaining about inflation, and you guys in North America, I mean the United States and Canada, if you guys are complaining about inflation and rent prices, I mean housing in general, and everything related to the economy, well, imagine for us in South America, the dritte Welt, like the Germans say, the third world, right? Well, I only now realized that I recorded a whole video and I used the 0.5 zoom. It's the negative zoom to widen the screen, and it looks great with my previous stick that doesn't have a stabilizer, but this one it shows up in the screen, right? That was such a up, man. I'm really sorry for that. The next videos I do won't have that feature on, which is sad because the wider screen looks better, right? You can see me better, you can see the environment I'm walking better. But yeah, that's it. I just hope it wasn't too much of a drag to watch that corner of the screen. Actually, Brazil is a developing country, but the prospects are not very bright for us. You see, because inflation in here has reached a point in which many people are falling down the social class ladder, and for the ones that for the base of the pyramid, that's terrible. It's less terrible for the top of the pyramid, of course, but even them, even the like the French say, even the bourgeois, yeah, well, prices are skyrocketing. Everything in the supermarket is really expensive. It's almost impossible to maintain a diet if you're middle class or poor, and even for high middle class it's reached a point in which, even though they're kind of a bit disconnected from the reality of the real base of the pyramid, even for them it's kind of a dire situation, right? A dire straits. And where does that come from? It comes basically from our monetary devaluation. I mean the currency devaluation, right? A dollar now is worth something close to 6 BRL, 6 reais. An euro is a bit more than that. A pound sterling, I mean England's currency, is even more. It's the most expensive one. And I see so many. I mean, if you want to come to Brazil, this is the right time. Your budget to come here is multiplied by 5 at least. I mean, paying all the fees and stuff, it would be something like 5 times, right? And man, coffee in the supermarket nowadays, it's so expensive that people, the owners are demanding to put an alarm, an anti-theft alarm in the in the coffee bags, and so, and oh man, this sucks. Just a second. And yeah, the coffee bags are being protected by an anti-theft alarm, and that's funny. You know why that's funny? Because Brazil is known in the world as a big silo and a barn for the world, right? We produce so many commodities, and if you ever went to the state of Minas Gerais and São Paulo, you have probably seen, and if you travel the countryside, of course, you have probably seen so many coffee plantations. I mean, the basic economy in Brazil is is from agriculture, right? Most of our GDP is derived from agriculture, and that means sugarcane and products made of it, of course. Sugarcane, coffee, oranges, soybeans. Soybeans is a really big chunk of it, but coffee is also. And if you went to those states and you traveled along the countryside, you have seen so many coffee plantations, like acres and acres and hectares of just coffee. It's a sea of coffee, right? And it's just unbelievable that the coffee bags in the supermarket are so expensive right now that that they have to be protected by anti-theft alarms. It is infuriating for our population because we know that, right? We know what our country does for a living. We know where our GDP is based off of, and I don't even know what to say, man. People here we have basically three choices when it comes to jobs, right? We have the choice of being a 9-to-5 wager, and we call it 6-to-1. You work 6 days, and it's most of the cases is more than 9-to-5. I'm only saying 9-to-5 for you to understand, right? But the term in here is 6-to-1. You work 6 days, you only get a 1 day free, right? And that's the worst option, of course, because nobody that works a 9-to-5 here is happy with their current job and their current wage. You would get a better wage working a as a civil servant, right? Civil servants here earn a little bit better, but depending on your education, right? The higher your degree of education, the larger is your wage, right? Your salary. But the thing is, to become a civil servant here, you have to, I mean, at least for the better jobs, you have to graduate on something, preferentially something that has to do with the job that you intend to do in the future, right, as a civil servant. And then you can study everything again, start studying again. I mean, constitutional rights and penal rights, penal code, the constitution, and the internal regiments of the organ, the governmental organ that you're going to work in. And then you have to do an exam. And the higher the salary that you're applying for, the higher the position that you're applying for, the less vacancies you will find. And so the competition is bigger. It's something like the best jobs in here, you would get like 20,000 people competing for one vacant spot as a civil servant, right? And the third option, it's basically the same in everywhere, right? The third option you have is to do a blue collar job, work as a contractor, right? You can earn by day, you can charge by day. We don't even know how much we earn for by hour in here. We don't calculate our wage and our salary like that. So blue collar guys, blue collar people, they charge for day or by a contract, right? If it's a contract, then you have a total budget and your wage and salary is in is already calculated. It's already imbued in that total value of the contract. I'm just gonna stop right here in the shades for a second and keep talking about this. But so yeah, those are our three options, right? And none of the people that work in those three options are happy, because for everyone, inflation hits everyone. Like I said, it hits most, where it hits the most is the base of the pyramid, right? Because that's only logical. And then you might have been thinking all this time that I'm talking about, well, there's always the entrepreneurship, right? Yeah, entrepreneurship is also a thing in here, but it's basically an illusion, because even though you're going to be able to pay your own salary, you'll have so many taxes. And I'm not talking about the one of the 50 states in mainland USA. I'm talking about taxes, not Texas. So yeah, entrepreneurship in here is basically impossible for someone that is just starting. If you don't have already a large amount of money to invest, it's going to be impossible. You basically cannot start let me just shoot this tree right behind me. It's the Cariocar brasiliense. It's we call it pequi. Whether you love it or you hate it, the fruits are delicious. It's really strong, but I really enjoy the taste of it, and the tree is just beautiful. This is a very nice specimen. Anyway, yeah, if you don't have already a large amount of money to invest in opening your business, then you're cooked. You're not going to be able to. I have been trying to do it from scratch, and it's just impossible. I have spent already a lot of money, and I'm not even close to actually being able to say that I have my company working. You know, the legal stuff is already sorted out, but I'm not even having a steady income for the company. Imagine putting money in my own pocket, right? And yeah, I say it's an illusion because a lot of people here take advantage of that, and from the desperation of people, like I said in one of my previous videos as well, I talked about the illusion that these YouTubers that talk about YouTube give people, that you have to start a YouTube channel, dude. Some other creators also prey on people's despair and vulnerability situation, and they tell people that they should open their own business, that it's not impossible, that there's always a way. And man, it's really not like that, you know. You can do it, of course, but it will be demanding. You won't have time for anything else. You will work more than a 9 to 5. The reality is very raw, okay? If you want to open your own business, I remember when I was trying to make and sell my knives, I would work from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., okay? And I would stay long hours working non-stop with my hands dirty, all my fingers all worked up and sore. The next day you're sore and you have to do the same and the same hours, you know, so you're able to finish a product in time. And then you'll try to sell to people, and of course you'll try to sell first to your friends and family, right? And not many friends will, most of them will say that they will buy, and then they will just turn back on their own word. Of course, man, yeah, it's my fault if I don't charge them in advance, at least for the materials, so the person has a lower risk of turning back on their own word. But that can happen as well, even if you charge them in advance for a half, let's say half of the price that you're going to charge in the end. And anyway, people say they like to support locals, local businesses, but the reality is that they don't. Okay, what people are consuming is only mainstream and very big names in the industries, in every kind of industry. People people like to say because it's cute, you know, for social media, but the reality is raw. The reality is not very nice, and it's just that people don't actually support local businesses, small businesses, right? And yeah, that's frustrating. That's why Brazil is in dire straits right now. The prospects are, it will only get worse. It doesn't matter if this government is left-winged, right? Lula is a left-wing big bullshitter, and it doesn't matter if the next one is going to be right-winged. They will not solve anything because they are only governing, they're only leading the way for who's already big, for people that are already big, and they don't actually think about the poor. Just like us, the people, we don't care about supporting local businesses. That's just BS. The government's right or left-winged, they're both the wings of the same vulture, right? And they will only benefit those that have power, that have influence, that have money. All right, and that's it about Brazil's social economical situation. It's what you really can call a dire straits. But if you're a foreigner and you want to visit Brazil, this is the time, right? Because your money will be multiplied by your budget in here, like I said in the beginning, will be multiplied by 5 or 6 or 7 if you're British. Right? I think a pound is worth 7 BRL if not more. Okay, so that's it for this one. I just wanted to talk about our situation here, which is not very bright. Okay, and that takes also a toll in our collective mind, in our collective minds. You know, it brings a very low kind of feeling that we're just cattle, that we're just meat, and that's what Brazil does. Commodities, meat, soybeans, and we export all of that. We export our best. Let's say Germany is one of the countries that holds a lot of stock value in coffee, right? Not only stock, but the commodity in itself. It's one of the biggest dealers of coffee in the world, but it cannot have, it's biologically impossible to, unless you have a greenhouse in there, but it's basically impossible to do it under natural circumstances to plant coffee in Germany. And Brazil holds all of that commodity and exports it at a nothing price, at a, as we call it, a banana price, and we get nothing out of it. Okay, and even if we did, the government wouldn't apply that money back to the people, wouldn't give back to the communities, you know, and that sucks, but it's our reality. Okay, so that's it for this one. If you have any comments to add, if you think I forgot something about it, if you have a better understanding of economy and sociology and whatever, please, I'm happy to hear your comments as well. And I hope you enjoyed. I know it's a sad story, but it has to be told, right? So see you in the next one. Bye, underachievers.